Hi there, Nick Powles, publisher of 1851franchise.com. Very excited to have another discussion with leaders from IWG. If any of you have been watching any of the other webinars that we've done in the past, we've gained tremendous information on state of the business and how it could potentially impact partners of the future. So today I'm very excited to talk about the Nordics. So Patrick, I'm going to start with you, then Pele, I'm going to go to you second. But Patrick, frame for our audience who you are, what you do, and then just a little bit of commentary on some of the things that you're seeing in state of the business.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So my name is obviously Patrick, and I've been with the company now this is my 10th year, overseeing the business we have in the Nordic countries, which constitutes of about 80 locations today, spread over the Nordic countries, pretty much 20 centers in each country, and growing. When I came to the business some 10 years ago, it wasn't growing business already back then. We know that the kind of co-working and hybrid working was taking place, and the shift was starting. Looking at before the pandemic, pretty much 50% of the people, the workforce, were looking for employers who could offer some sort of hybrid, flexible working solution. When the pandemic then came, we all kind of became hybrid workers, more or less, and we saw that have accelerated after the pandemic. So the numbers is now more like 90% of employers are seeking to have the ability to work in a hybrid way of the business. So that is kind of where we are today. And obviously what we want to do is to make sure that our customers, enable them to work, in a hybrid mode. So we have full focus on growing, the footprint in the Nordic countries, adding centers to the network, and obviously looking for partners to help us, help our customer get the growth going and serve the customers in the best way we can.
One follow-up question for you. I mean, if we think about supply and demand, I mean, what's happening, and the pandemic probably accelerated this because the employee started saying, here's what I need out of my work situation, which give me some flexibility in the structure, which means maybe I come into an office a few times a week. So the supply has skyrocketed, which you can see in some of the other countries that IWG has had significant growth in. Still, at the pace that they're growing, it's not meeting the supply because there's a whole pile of human beings that want this. So when you open up a center, I would imagine there's already a supply and a demand, which is a good thing. On the partner side, it's like, how do we open up the opportunity a little bit more? And as a second comment, and then to whatever your feedback or comments are on this, I think about the business opportunity side, and there's probably an awareness gap on landlords or building owners didn't know or don't know that IWG has already helped businesses skip the line when it comes to co-working. A landlord or business or building owner doesn't have to go and start this from scratch. They're able to partner with you and have a little bit of acceleration into all of the intel and knowledge base on flex space, or flex working. So any comments on either of those things? Is supply so hard, so much less than the demand right now, and then that's part of where these partners are starting to catch up?
Yes, it is. We saw before the pandemic, we saw some, for the Nordics, 12,000 inquiries coming into our sales platform per year. It's now more like 20,000 per year, and it's still increasing. And what we do see also is that it's not only for CBD Copenhagen, CBD Oslo, or CBD Stockholm. It's all over the place that people would like to work, and that is driven by the fact that coming from the lockdown period, where you used to work at your kitchen table, we saw a lot of customers that didn't want to work from the kitchen table, looking for a radius nearby, in the suburbs, in the outskirts, and so forth. So that is an opportunity. The demand is still there. The demand is increasing, and the supply is not there fully yet. So that is a huge opportunity to fill that gap and create a cash flow from space that or assets that you already have.
Great. Appreciate that. Pele, so just same opening question to you. Frame who you are, what you do, and just your opinions on state of the business.
Yeah, my name is Pelle. I joined IWG in February last year, where basically IWG started this partnership program. It started, I think, in January, but I came in a little later. So I'm overseeing the Nordic partnership sales team and also the Benelux team. So we now are a team of 6 people working on growing our network with partners all over the Nordics. I have a background from franchising and retail. Actually, I worked with H&M for 15 years, so I know franchising very well, and that's why this is also very exciting, because this is kind of a franchising, but without the hassle of operating the business, which I think is always a big challenge with franchising. So I love this product, and I think the market is there, and our proposition is really, really exciting, I think. So we started off pretty slow, I would say. We also had a smaller team when I started, of course. So now, we have a full team, and we have presence in all Nordic markets. So the beginning was a bit slow because it's also a kind of a unconventional proposition for most property owners. So it has been a little bit of a start to make people understand the model and the opportunity we're offering. So now I would say we signed, I think, 19 locations now. No, 21 locations in the Nordics and 18 in Sweden only. So we're really getting traction now in the last, I would say, 8-9 months. We're really gaining traction and getting much more conversion into these. So very excited about it, and it's looking good.
Pele, can you frame the business opportunity? So someone's watching this, they own a building, they're a landlord, they're still a ghost. They haven't given you their name yet. They're watching this without telling you who they are. Talk to them and tell them what is the business opportunity that's in front of them.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're reaching out to property owners, that sits on vacant space mainly, and we can help them to monetize that empty space with our brand and platform. So basically, what we do, we're offering them to turnkey solution to help them to open up a flex office in their building. We will operate it, and for that we will basically take a service charge or a fee for that. So basically we're generating, I would say in general, we're generating, we haven't had any long, we don't have centers that have been open for very long, but our projection is that we're giving them a better return than on a regular market rent because of our business model. So that's what we do.
For anybody that is watching live, feel free to use the comment feature if you have a question for our group today, and we'll make sure that we get those questions answered. Patrick, I want to go back to you. I'm thinking about this business opportunity, and I'm thinking about the data set that IWG has access to, and some of the growth that's happened in accelerated growth in, say, the Americas. Are you able to look at comparables on, say, what did another country's growth look like and cross-apply it and see some of those early indicators with, say, the partner signing up in Sweden? Are you seeing some similarities? Is it going at the same pace? Is the education to the landlord or building community at a similar pace, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, looking at comparable countries, I would say we are, on par with the countries that are moving fastest, and I would say Sweden in particular. And I think part of the reason for that is that whatever happens in the Nordics, Stockholm and Sweden is a good starting point for the Nordic markets. And what we also see here, and I think that the reason why this is why we are growing the network fastest in Sweden is, well, we've been up and running with this program longer in Sweden, but I think also landlords are more, willing to listen to it and understand it, and see the benefit of it. So we have a work to do there in the other Nordic countries to kind of prove the concept and get the same traction. Also, what is kind of important or significant is that in Sweden we are finally coming out to the second tier cities. In the Nordic countries, we're only like in the capital areas and the 2 or 3rd biggest cities in those countries. What we're looking to do is to make national networks to add into the global network. So we need to go to the 2nd and 3rd tier cities as well, and that is what we're doing in Sweden now, and we're looking to do it in the other Nordic countries as well.
Yeah, so you're in essence you're building your roadmap for how do you go to market, and then how do you educate, and then how do you onboard, and then how do you get open. Two questions that came through our audience. I just want to throw this up here because they're very similar. Peter said, "What's the minimum?" and Stuart said, "Is there a maximum size building that you're looking at?" So from a size standpoint, what are the sweet spots?
I would say the general answer to that is, something like 12 to 1500 square meter. That is a sweet spot. And the reason for that is that it's a manageable size in terms of, fitting it out and all of that. It's also kind of in the sweet spot of where you get the best return on the risk, on the investment. If you have a smaller space, it's more difficult because the fixed costs are pretty much the same. The square meter you're adding on to get up to 1500 is kind of marginal. And still, in this industry, in this business, what we're making, money on is to sell offices, to sell dedicated office space. But they will only buy it from you if you have a center that have a nice, common area, nice business club, nice, kitchen and common areas where you can meet. But you need to have the square meter to sell to make sure you get the margin and the return on the investments. So long answer, 1500 square meter.
Yeah, I just want to add a few comments on that, Nick. I agree with Patrick, of course. That's our, the good size is probably between 1,000 and 1,500 square meter. We are doing a couple of pilots now of unmanned centers as well, one in Sweden and one in Finland. We're going to evaluate that a little bit further, but I think there is a potential of opening smaller center in smaller cities going forward. So, but you need to have the right technology and security, etc. So we're working on those products right now, and I think also that should also be possible to make good money out of those smaller locations. So I think the big fixed cost is, since we normally have manned center, is of course the staff cost. If we can have a different system, I think that could be a very interesting opportunity as well.
Yeah, so it's ultimately about getting to proximity of location so that you can maximize the depth of offering back to user. I mean, if we go back to 90s or early 2000s, 90s, you're trying to track down a place to put a quarter in a machine to access the internet. in early 2000s, you're hustling to try to find a place that's offering Wi-Fi. So the demand of the user saying, "Hey, I want to work in the area that I'm in," hasn't changed. It's actually increased. Now, if we can get the right real estate open, then obviously it fits. I'm gonna put, just because we're getting some good questions in here, I'm gonna keep going. Stuart put another one up here. It would be good to understand how you influence the building owners to evidence their green credentials or green investment in their buildings. One of you want to take that one?
Just let me understand that. How we influence the building owners to evidence their green. I mean, what we're doing, we're of course trying to be as green as possible, and I think that the flex office itself is kind of good for the environment because it reduces the commute for people. So I think that's that's a good thing for the environment and but I don't think we're pushing too hard on the green investment. Of course, we want to do clever energy saving investments and stuff like that, but we're also we're trying to work with the property owner to minimize their need for investment and to make a good business case in the end. So if they're willing to make green investment, we're all for it, but we're not it's not mandatory. I'd say, if that answers the question.
Patrick, any comments on that?
I think what we are doing is kind of moving towards a greener offer everywhere. If we have two buildings next to each other and we're going to do one of them, we obviously check if there's a BREEAM certificate or any other environmental thinking behind it. And then the industry itself, as Pelle pointed out, reduce commuting. That's reducing the carbon footprint as well, and all of this is better utilization of square meter usage as well is a big part of it. There are lots of buildings still standing empty where the heat is on and so forth, and if you can utilize it in a better way, making sure that potentially as a customer, if you have your head office, you build a head office that could fit 100 out of the 200 employees you have, and the other 100 could offer them a hybrid working solution. They can come into the office every once in a while. Otherwise, they can use a hybrid solution. And we've seen lots of examples of that as well, which is it's a win-win-win.
Well, and from my viewpoint, for what it's worth, I'm not the expert in the category, but I've watched building owners, especially within the Americas, which is where I live, that the buildings are getting smarter, that the room is going to read whether there's a human in it or not. Therefore, the energy that's used in that room is going to be dictated by someone being in there. And the beauty of Flex is like, people are using it at their pace, and so when the buildings continue to catch up on the way that human behavior works, it's going to naturally have impact as well. I think it's a very fascinating topic, and frankly, because of the way that you guys have structured it, even Pele, what you said on piloting a different no labor model. I mean, that's a big deal too. Like, think of the amount of labor that tends to have to manage an office space. So you're looking at ways that you can eliminate just the human footprint, period. So I think it's a fascinating topic, and clearly it's going to continue to come up. I'm going to put Stuart has great questions. So I'm going to keep putting Stuart's questions up. What is the typical time period for ROI on the partnership model for the landlord?
It obviously depends on location, building, products, and so forth. But I would say, in general, you would if we do our work properly, the landlord should or building owner should kind of receive market rent or better than market rent within 12 months. That's kind of a general thinking. We've seen examples where we kind of been lucky. We open up with 100% occupancy, and that is great. In some cases it can take 18 months, but I would say in general around 12 months.
Yeah.
And what we are doing when partnering up with a landlord, we get something like, I think I mentioned 20,000 inquiries per year in the Nordics. We know where the customer are asking for space, and obviously there is where Pelle and his team also is looking for partners. So we have a lot of data before we kind of open the center as well. So if we don't believe it's going to work, we're not going to do it.
No. Just a quick comment on the return on investment as well from my side. We're modeling each project, quite carefully using the data from our existing centers, and we're trying to do some cost estimation with what we know. So looking at these models, normally in Sweden especially, I think the return on investment is quite short. So I would say 18 to 24 months in general, depending, of course, what type of investment you have to do. But and we're getting basically a market rent when we're kind of over 50% occupancy or so. That's basically where the limits are.
Well, I study business and franchise businesses for my career, and I'll just throw this statement on there. The depth of data that the company has as the leader in the space, like you guys know how to pick the right spaces. And therefore, that's part of what a landlord's tapping into, is to say, evaluate the data that you have around my building. Do you think this is going to work? But you can, I hear Sweden on the growth pattern that's going on. Like, you can see that the marketplace is heating up quite fast. And so now what's going to happen is next time you open up a unit, the brand awareness of this opportunity is going to continue to increase, which is going to just carry down. The other thing that I'm seeing from my seat is, and you said this, Pele, that you're looking at empty boxes. So the box is not making anything right now. So this is giving a landlord an opportunity to add a different type of business model that may have not been in there in the past. This is not a single tenant. This is opening up a community of tenants, which in turn, I think long term, because these are businesses that tend to use the spaces. Eventually, if they're scaling businesses, they're going to look for larger real estate. So this is new business generation for the landlord too. So I'm fascinated by the category. Obviously, the pandemic accelerated things on the growth front, but I think that's pretty.
Just cool. to pick up on that, Nick, as well. There's a handful kind of developers in the Nordics, and they picked this up pretty quickly. And what they were doing when they're building a new building, the first tenant they wanted in there is a flex operator, and hopefully it was IWG with one of our brands. And the reason for that is, if there is flexibility in the building, it's a lot easier to rent out the rest of the building as well.
That's right.
And, so that's a kind of enabler for the rest of the building as well.
Yeah.
I'll just put this up here. Lisa said, do you have any interest in the Baltics?
Yes,
Absolutely.
of course. Yeah. It's not managed by us, but if someone is interested, we could connect them with the right.
Exactly. Let us know when we make sure that we connect you with the right persons.
I think we're opening centers in the Baltics right now. I know. So yeah, we're definitely super.
Yeah, interested. I mean the reality is, like, that's probably the cool thing on the consumer product side. This is a want by every single community across the world. This is a global desire. So that's a good one. All right, Peter said, we believe in multi-use, work, live, enjoy. Do you have any strategy partners to join in to offer extended services like restaurants, fitness, and health? Do you want to take a swing at that one?
Yeah, absolutely. We do, and we're not operating kind of restaurants ourselves. That's there are other businesses who's better at doing that. But what we do is we cooperate with them. Going into the health fitness club, as an example, we have a fitness chain in Norway that's called House of Health. They are operating within our centers in Oslo, holding fitness classes, personal training, yoga studios, and so forth. And that is obviously booming. It's something that customers want to have.
Yeah.
We have centers that are located in the same building as a gym, for instance. Then we seek a cooperation with that gym or the restaurant, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, you're going to see the next question that comes on. Do you have any sites within retail parks, industrial areas, or are you just looking in the central business district? And the reality is, it's yes. The answer is we want any type of property.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm personally, I really think the opportunity in retail parks is huge. I think, to have that kind of service and infrastructure close by is super good. We don't have a lot of those in the Nordics at the moment, but we're looking into some partnerships. Industrial areas, yeah, we are. We actually opened a location in Spång outside of Stockholm. That's kind of an industrial area, for small companies. So yeah, we're interested in that for sure.
Pele, I'm going to start with you on this one. I'm always curious and fascinated on the counter content, meaning there's a question that comes up in the sales process from a landlord or a building owner, and they say, this is my hesitation. And you get that question and you have a very specific answer. It's like, well, that shouldn't be a hesitation. It's more like a false perception. Pele, is there anything that tends to come up in the sales process that is a frequency of question that you're like, I understand why you feel this way, but here's what our truth is?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the hesitation from many landlords is, we're not guaranteeing any, rent. But, I think that's part of this whole program is that we're willing to share our, profit with the landlord and generate actually more business for them than they would if they just, rented out the space conventionally. So I think, but, there's a lot of questions around the risk. And, as in all business, there is a risk. But, with our track record and with our, market research, I think we are truly minimizing that risk. And, we're, as Patrick mentioned before, we're doing some serious research before we sign up with a partner. And, we are pretty confident that we will be able to generate that, the return that they're looking for. So that's, one very common question.
Patrick, anything that comes to mind of a hesitation of a prospect and how you get them over the edge?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's more about kind of the business we are in a sense that looking back a few years, 5-7 years, the co-working was kind of booming. It was a hot topic within the real estate industries by landlords and so forth. A lot of building owners try to do it themselves, thinking this is not rocket science, but actually there is an element of rocket science in what we are doing. And moving forward, we have some 4,000 centers that we have designed, fitted out, furniture, open up. Most of them trade successfully, and that is the reason for that is we know exactly how to draw an efficient space on a building. So in the early process, we had a few landlords or building owners saying, do I really need to build this? And their answer is yes. If you want to have a successful building, this is what you need to build. So I think, trust us and trust our intel that we know what we're doing. On the other hand, we see also, building owners or landlords now trying to get out of this business, as they have figured out that it's not as easy as you might have thought from the start.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that in any area that I've lived or traveled. There are competitor brands that pop up that are single unit, and if I've used them in my travels, the resources are significantly different than that of you guys, and you can sense that right away. They're trying to figure things out. Part of the magic of this opportunity that you guys have built is that you're saying, let's shortcut all of that discovery that you're going to fumble, and let's give you as much tools as humanly possible to set you up for success in this category. And time again, you've proven like that's the right model. I would imagine, Patrick, that now that you guys are building momentum in the Nordics, you're starting to be able to point towards partners that said, I'm into it, being able to leverage their story and say, look, we have people that are doing this, be like them, is only continuing to build up that momentum. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. Absolutely. It is. And we have, besides the one we have, already signed in Sweden, Pelle and his team is noticing that the interest is picking up, day by day, for sure.
Yeah.
John asks, I'm just going to throw this up here. Do you have any offices that have a possibility to rent small storage unit as well?
Yes, we do. And it kind of depends on what is in the building. And also, as mentioned, when it comes to restaurants and kind of gym and so forth, we do. And it's kind of center by center, depending on what the opportunities are. For instance, the location we have in Spånga, there is a warehouse facility there as well. So we absolutely could help renting out storage space as well.
I mean, I guess it's a fascinating question, because you would think of someone that has a business that is downsizing, at least in the region that they're in, to go more widespread on where they hire. I've never seen that question before, but it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's flip the script. Patrick, let's talk about the next 12 months that are coming up. Expectations for 2024?
We're going to continue to grow, and the 21 signed we have in the Nordics are pretty much all planned to open in the first half of next year. So that will take us from the 80 centers we have today to kind of 100 open centers in the Nordics by summertime. We think that when we reach that point, we will probably have another 40 to 50 centers in production. So what we are obviously doing as well is to make sure that we are staffing ourselves up internally, so we can make sure that we deliver on our promises to the building owners, execute a good process getting from signature to open center, and building up the occupancy. There is kind of an end game figure, and that is some 500 centers in the Nordics. I don't have a timestamp on it yet, but if I would ask Mark Dixon, our founder and CEO, he would probably say end next year. But
not sure I can deliver on that, Patrick.
Pelle, anything you want to add for just visionary stuff for the next 12 months?
We're as I said, we're really getting the traction now in all markets. So I'm seeing, some really good results. I'm not going to give any hard numbers, but we are picking up. We're also growing the team now with more team members. So it's going to be a very exciting year next year. And I wanted to add something to. Patrick talked about optimizing the space and generating the best centers, or I think one thing that I'm super impressed of and fascinated of is how well we are with pricing our offices and really maximizing revenue from our center. It's I think we're for sure the best in class there. It's kind of comparable to the travel industry, I think, with supply and demand, and I think that's something that we should be very proud of at IWG. So we're really good at what we're doing. That's for sure.
Patrick, I want to call out something that I just heard from your statement, and let's just use the number 500. For when there's a startup business, they may come out and say, we want 500. And when they say we want 500, they're pulling that out of the sky. They're saying like, yeah, it would be really nice to have 500 locations of insert business. You guys it goes back to some of the opening statements of you're looking at the market, you're determining where IWG would make sense and what type of IWG property makes sense. And so when you're saying 500, it's because you've actually looked at a roadmap on how many could we actually hold in this time period and where would we hold them. And so if I flip over to a landlord that may be watching this, or building owner, or someone that's in the commercial real estate space, what I would hear is this is happening whether you are part of it or not. Yeah. And so you think about some of the greatest businesses that have been in the licensee or the franchise standpoint. Like when the statement comes out, this is what's going to happen. When that statement is backed up by data, and when that data is going to show like there's a true pathway here, what happens is this fear of missing out. And so some people say, okay, I got to get into this before it's too late. And then some sit on the sidelines too long and then can't get in. So when I hear the 500, whether that happens next year or it takes a little bit of time, it's a real thing. And so I would imagine like when you're talking to a landlord, especially with the momentum of looking at 100 centers open, like it's like, look, we would love for you to be a part of this. We don't need you to be a part of this. We want you to be a part of this. If you're interested, be a part of this. It's no longer, you don't have to sell this. It's the roadmap's already there. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is absolutely. And there is kind of a first thought that we need, a center per 50,000 in people living in the country. And what we are doing is as I mentioned, filling out the big cities with more centers, going out to the second tier cities and adding kind of new dots on the map. And it is kind of the beauty of this as well is that for each new center we open, our proposition gets a little bit stronger. And you add another one and you strengthen the proposition a little bit more. So we are at the moment, we have kind of the widest footprint globally, which makes us extremely easy to work with for like the Fortune 500 companies. And we just want to make it even more easy. And we know that people, they're not interested in just working in CBD Stockholm or Gothenburg or Oslo. We want to be where people live. And that's super important.
Love it. Stuart asked another question: have customers, users of the building, become more or less sensitive to pricing over the last few years?
Yeah, I would say it hasn't really changed the price, the price sensitiveness that we're selling for in that sense. We put a sales price up that kind of relates to the costs and rent we have in a building. So, CBD Helsinki is more expensive than Turku or Tampere, for instance. What we do see that customers have picked up on is the alternative cost, the cost of sitting with a long lease in a conventional space and potentially have, more capacity than they need, or in need of even more square meters, which means that it's not about that much about our price towards the customers. It's like the alternative is not as good. in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll just give my 2 cents. I mean, our rent in our office building in Chicago going into the pandemic was $35,000 a month. Then I found myself being the only one that was going into that building and paying $35,000 a month. I am not price sensitive because this creates the solve when we went and hired across the United States. So I think it's probably just dependent on who the user is, but in essence, like the pricing is pretty it's evened out pretty nicely in my viewpoint when I've looked at anybody that's in the space. I'm gonna put up another question, and I'm gonna say the comment: both WeWork and Evolve is a bust. I will say I still think when we had a WeWork space in Dallas back in 2020, I still think I have piles of snacks that I got for free from there in my home. But why is this happening when you can say the market is robust? I mean, obviously that's specific to them versus you.
Yeah. I obviously cannot, comment on their performance. I don't have the insight in their numbers and so forth. So that's probably a different call. But what I know is that we've been around for 30 plus years, closer to 35 years. We've opened up, 4,000 centers, which means we have had 4,000 opportunities to see if we can make it work or not. Yeah. And also our financial reports for the first half this year is public information. Feel free to tap into IWG.com and have a look at it. So it's a solid performance. We had a record first half this year in terms of revenue, and yeah.
Well, I'll add 2 insights that I pulled from you guys. Patrick, you said I've been at IWG for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Right. Founder is still CEO. And Pele, when you said I joined this, I could see how strong the offering was. Like ultimately, like if you want to look at what is the business case study, you look at the people involved. And there's a very fascinating story there as well. Like it's hard for people to stick around a business that is not viable. And obviously IWG has been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I also wanted to add that, we see, the prediction of the flex office market is growing significantly in the next, 5 or 10 years. And, we are tapping into that growth, of course. So, we're in perfect position to grow. So I think, is the market robust? Yeah, it's there. And, we are the leader and we're going to, cement our leadership even stronger, even though some competitors will, disappear, I guess. So, yeah.
Very good. Let's close on this. Pele, I'll start with you, and then Patrick, I'll go to you. Just any last comments? You have a ghost candidate that's watched this video that we've done, whether they've watched it live or they're watching it in the future. What do you want them to know about the opportunity in 2024?
I mean, I think now we've been doing this now for almost 2 years now. We get a lot of feedback, and we have refined our agreements and stuff, so we are really set up now in a good way. So if anyone is interested, please reach out. We go through the proposition properly, and this is a really good opportunity to join forces with us. And I talked to my line manager and said, people should be really excited because in a year or so our fees are going to be different. It's going to be more expensive to join us. So the time is now. It's really something people should look into if you sit on vacant space, or you're building a new property and want to have a flex office operator. So yeah, would love to talk to anyone who's interested.
And Patrick, final thoughts to our ghost candidates?
It's it is obvious that IWG is kind of knows how to make the flexible market work, in a financial way, in a way that it works for the customers, the landlord, and for IWG. I think that is a fact. looking at the customer behavior, going forward, when people born, in the 2000 is coming to the market as well, this kind of market will explode. And we've only seen, we're only at the beginning of that part. So demand, I expect, we had 20,000 inquiries this year. It'll be 40 next year. It'll be 60 in a couple of years from now, and it will be all over. Not only the CBD areas. So I think it is a good opportunity if you want to start early. To jump on this now, and me and Pelle obviously are happy to sit down with anyone who's on this call and discuss potential opportunities to move forward. Because we will do it one way or the other. We will get there. We will do the 500 centers and then probably get a new target, but we'll start there.
I love it. What a great conversation. Clearly the two of you are experts in the category. My viewpoint to any candidate that could be watching this is it doesn't cost you anything to have a conversation. And sometimes that conversation can give you plenty of information to guide you on the decisions that you make. So thank you to the two of you for sharing some of your guys' story and obviously what the business opportunity is with IWG. I appreciate you guys doing this with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
For everyone that watched live, appreciate you too. Obviously, this is going to be delivered in replay. And if you need more information, you can go to IWG's website and click through. You'll see the pathway to the partnership growth side. For our great guests, I'm Nick Powles. Thank you for watching another episode of Meet the Experts at IWG. Take care, everybody.